How many of you have finished with your general education courses? Whose GPA was negatively affected by required general education courses? How many of you look at general education as something to get over with rather than something you're excited about?
After hearing these questions, we've done the research. We asked many professors, many academic advisors to figure out and come up with a solution to this question. Will lowering standards in general education courses positively affect student success, satisfaction, and graduation rates?
So to start with Gen Eds, those are the courses that we take as freshmen and sophomores that help make us better, well-rounded students. They require us to open up our minds to new ideas and help students find who they are and who they want to be. What fueled this question was wanting to see if there was more cost-effective options and if we could see a rise in GPA and student success with student happiness and graduation rates. Are these courses necessary? In all of our interviews, we found together that yes, they are necessary, especially the 100 and 200 level courses. Those ones help us find new possibilities and create more well-rounded students. The ones we found unnecessary are the 300 and 400 level classes, and especially those with prereqs. We found those to be better off in the major rather than in Gen Eds.
With student success comes just a grasp of knowing that going through college and learning about yourself and finding out who you are. That's how we kind of define student success, by raising the GPA and lowering stress and increasing the graduation rate with student success. With that being said, with these general education courses, it's not meant to break you down or bring your GPA lower than it already is, or when you're starting off college, you want to start off to a good start. So that we would like these general education courses to be more lenient and understanding with the path you're choosing and going in the field. With student success, with a degree, it's one of those things that going in college, some people might want to and some others might not want to. It's an individual challenge that we all seek in this life, I assume. And then being prepared, it sets you up for the workplace. It allows you to learn those skills, the skills you learned here in college by turning in assignments on time, being a class on time, doing the assignments and things of that nature. By lowering credits, it allows us to be more flexible with our schedule, allowing us to have that student camaraderie with like the teachers and as well as the students in class. And lastly, using tools such as talking to professors. By going there in the office hours, it allows you to create that connection, and it gives you those ties in order to get the knowledge for that class.
So when we're having this conversation about student success and what that means for the university as a whole, one of the main aspects that we have to look at is being well-rounded students. When we talk about student success in relation to general education courses, we often box in students. So when we just look at the well-roundedness and not student success as a whole, because to the university, student success often means getting a degree or not getting a degree. But when we look at the well-roundedness, we're really asking the question of how prepared are students for life after college and the challenges that they're going to face. So when I interviewed the Director of Student Success Initiatives and Effectiveness, Holly Stanley, she had a lot of really interesting points about being a well-rounded student. So I'd like to refer to my picture here that I've brought today. We can see the student is in the middle and there's a lot of gears turning in their head, which I took to mean all of these things come into play and making that person a well-rounded student. We see some kind of rocket ship, which might signify ideas or goals for the future. Trophies, meaning that they are competing or in some kind of activity where they can do well and expand their thoughts. And of course, all the other things, you can take them to mean as much as you want, because for each student, well-roundedness is going to look different. Our definition of well-rounded students would be students who are not only successful on campus, being that they are taking a full 12 credits and are a full student, but also students who have a few activities on campus and are really connected. That might be part of RSOs or being part of student government or any kind of club or activity that happens on campus and really builds your own understanding of the world and the activities that you enjoy and like. Holly Stanley also specified that you should not only be on campus, but have something that ties you to the community of Mankato as a whole. being volunteering or a job. That way, we're effectively creating people who are multifaceted and have more than just one idea of what success is to them. Secondly, we should care about what we're learning, and this ties into well-roundedness when we consider the general education courses that we're taking. Well-roundedness happens when we expand ourselves past just simply math and science and communication and English writing. Those go into the more humanities and history and athletic general education courses that we're made to take. This allows students to explore their options and be more successful as people and care about what they're learning. Because when we give students options, they usually choose to be more interesting and to specify their focus of what they really want to learn about. It also gives them a taste for what majors and what minors they might want to actually use throughout their time here at Mankato.
So, with cost effectiveness, obviously you look at it and it doesn't essentially directly tie to our question. However, if you think about it, it truly does. Every student that comes here to MSU is, in the back of their mind, they have money. Okay, in the back of their mind, they're thinking about money. So, some choose to come to Mankato because it's a cheaper option rather than the University of Minnesota or the University of Minnesota Duluth. This is why I chose to come here, because it was going to save me money in the long run for all 4 years. So, looking at different options to become more cost effective truly does relate to our question. Our first option with online courses, although they may cost on average about $50 more in tuition, you are also saving money with transportation. You don't have to go and buy a parking pass. You don't have to commute to and from. With that costs gas. And of course, you can live somewhere, whether that be at home with your parents, so you don't have to pay for rent, or you can live in a cheaper area further away from campus, as living close to campus can cost a lot of money. You can also lower the credits, and although we do have banded tuition, for those part-time students and for international students who aren't taking either up to 12 credits, or they could be taking more than 18 credits for those trying to graduate on time, if you lower the credits, essentially you're going to also lower the tuition amount as well, because 2 credit classes are going to cost less than 4 credit classes outside of banded tuition. Going to class size, when I spoke with Dr. Lassiter, who is an advisor in the psychology department, she stated that one of her ideas that she had been working on was for those incoming students who are taking Intro to Psychology, which is a class that's going to have around 130 students in it. If you charge less for those students, the school is still going to be making the same amount of money because there's 130 students. But for instance, a 200 level psych course that you're using as a general education course, there might only be 30 students in that. So you could charge more for the class size that only has 30 students because they need to make up for the amount of money that the professor is getting.
Our last topic that we're going to talk about today is different options for students. Going back to our research question, would lowering standards in Gen Ed goal area courses positively affect student success and grad rates? Different options that students might have. So decided students, we discussed that they would have a more direct route towards graduation. For instance, comm students would have their interpersonal communication classes. They would build up through their 100, 200 classes, and it would be more of a guided path. But undecided students would have more options, and they could choose. Like me, I figured out that I had a passion for psychology, and that can definitely be beneficial to some students. Another option we have would be lower credit options. This would be beneficial to students because it would be less time spent in classes, which I think we discussed that GPAs wouldn't be as affected as much, and it wouldn't hold as much weight for each class. The research question, wow. A quote that I got from Dr. Shauna Peterson Brown of the psychology department relating to lower credit options. She said, if shortening the class is going to make the class miss objectives, then it's obviously not worth it. Another option we have would be to remove banded tuition. This could potentially lower costs for students, but it may not be beneficial for everybody. Another option would be having less options total. This would be tying in with our decided students, which would be more of a guided route, that would hurt students who aren't decided because they wouldn't have as many classes to choose from.
So we've talked a lot at you about student success and well-roundedness and options and cost effectiveness. But our real question was just how are we going to make students feel like what they're learning is important to them? When we force general education courses down students' throats to the point that they're losing points for their GPA, that they feel disconnected to what they're learning, or they have to take another year or two to complete their degree of whatever that means to them for student success or well-roundedness. Our question is basically, are there options? And as we've shown you, there are quite a few. The problem is that none of them are perfect. And that's because students are diverse. We can never find one perfect solution for everybody. However, there is options out there, and through further research and hopefully projecting this up to people who can actually make a difference in our university, we'll come to a solution. Thank you.
Nice. 11 minutes
Did
and
good.
45 seconds.
I'll work on my part. Don't worry
I don't
about that.
Let's